Stranger Things is over, but what if I told you it almost looked nothing like the show we know today? Major characters were supposed to die. Eleven wasn't even meant to exist the way she does now. And one fan favorite was never supposed to survive past season 1. Here are 10 insane Stranger Things facts every superfan should know. And don't worry, this isn't your typical video with facts like, did you know Stranger Things' original name was Project Montauk? Let's start this list with one of the best love stories in Hollywood. Natalia Dyer and Charlie Heaton met for the first time on the Stranger Things set. During the first season, their characters fell in love, and by the end of the series, it had become one of the most shipped relationships. I personally was very disappointed when they broke up, and it took me a second watch to truly understand that the scene was actually a breakup, because it sure didn't look like one. The sweet part is that Natalia and Charlie are actually dating in real life too. But the interesting twist doesn't stop there. The stunt doubles for Nancy and Jonathan also met on set, fell in love, and are dating in real life as well. And if you thought that was a nice coincidence, here's another one that will definitely blow your mind. The voice actors for the German dub also fell in love with each other. Talk about strange coincidences. One of the wildest early ideas the Duffer Brothers had during development was that Eleven herself was originally written as a boy. In the earliest versions of the story, the character with psychic powers wasn't a girl at all. This idea even carried into Season 2 planning, where the character who later became Eleven's sibling was originally written as a brother, and the episode was titled The Lost Brother. But after struggling to find the right fit during casting, the creators decided to open auditions to girls as well. That's when Millie Bobby Brown and Linnea Berthelsen came in and completely changed the direction of the show. This little shift doesn't just change casting, it changed the dynamic of the entire show. If Eleven had been a boy, the emotional angle between Mike and Eleven simply wouldn't exist, and the core friendship and romance arc's evolution would feel very different. Even viewers sometimes initially thought Eleven looked like a boy on first sight in Season 1 because of her shaved head and androgynous look before her makeover. Another insane early idea the Duffer Brothers reportedly considered during the show's development was a completely different love interest for Mike. According to concept snippets that have made the rounds online, Mike's crush was originally meant to be Hopper's daughter, a character who would have been alive and introduced as the new kid in school. In that version, instead of wrapping his affection around a mysterious escapee from a lab, Mike's emotional arc would have been tied to Hopper's own family, creating a very different dynamic with the town's police chief and his child. This would have fundamentally changed one of the most iconic relationships in the show, replacing the central Milovan bond with a more normal teenager dating the chief's daughter subplot. It also would have altered Hopper's character. Instead of becoming Eleven's surrogate father after he lost his own daughter, his story might have stayed more grounded in Hawkins' everyday life. But once Millie Bobby Brown and the rest of the cast brought Eleven to life, the creators leaned into that unique bond instead of the alternate path. Before Stranger Things became the global hit we know today, the Duffers actually faced a huge hurdle pitching the show. A lot of executives didn't want kids as the main protagonists. They thought having children lead a sci-fi/horror series would make it feel too much like a kids' show, which they believed wouldn't sell well. So early in development, the pitch was very different. The story was almost about Chief Hopper investigating strange events in Hawkins as the main character. The idea was that Hopper would be the adult lead, solving the mysteries and pulling the narrative forward. Choosing to focus on Eleven and the kids instead of Hopper as the central lead changed everything, not just in how the story was told, but in how audiences connected with it. Imagine Stranger Things as a Hopper-centric paranormal procedural. The show's emotional beats, especially the Maleven relationship and Hopper's eventual father figure bond with Eleven, probably wouldn't have landed the same way. One of the craziest early plans for Stranger Things was that Eleven wasn't meant to survive past the end of the first season. When the creators first pitched the show, they saw it as a limited series, basically a one-season story. In that original ending, Eleven's arc would have concluded with her sacrificing herself to save the day and close the gate to the Upside Down. That was supposed to be it. No return, no second season, no Milovan, no deeper mythology. But once Netflix embraced the idea of Stranger Things going beyond just one season and saw just how special Millie Bobby Brown was as Eleven, the Duffers realized they couldn't just end her story there. They changed course and left her fate more open, allowing her to return in later seasons and become the emotional core of the entire series. Another fan favorite wasn't supposed to survive past season 1. Steve Harrington was originally meant to die after the first season, but the Duffer Brothers loved having Joe Keery on set so much that they rewrote his entire character arc, turning him into the icon we all adore. One of Stranger Things' most iconic and emotional moments, Joyce Byers communicating with Will through Christmas lights, almost didn't happen the way fans remember it. In the Duffer Brothers' earlier concept for the story, the idea of using everyday objects to interact with the Upside Down was there, but it wasn't supposed to be Christmas lights. Instead, the original pitch involved using magnets or other electromagnetic clues to track supernatural activity, not stringing up light bulbs around the house as a makeshift alphabet wall. According to behind-the-scenes accounts, one of the writers suggested that rather than just detecting the presence of the Upside Down with Christmas lights, Joyce should use them to communicate with Will, an idea that quickly became one of the most memorable symbols of the entire series. One of the most insane behind-the-scenes facts about Stranger Things is how crazy the casting process was for the kids. To find the perfect group of young actors, the Duffer Brothers and casting director Carmen Cuba auditioned over 1,200 children. That's around 906 boys and 307 girls reading scenes, sometimes from films like Stand By Me, just to land a role in the show. Most auditions didn't even make it past the first few seconds because the Duffers were looking for authenticity and natural chemistry. But then they saw Gaten Matarazzo's audition tape, and it was impossible to pass up. The moment the casting team watched Gaten, who would go on to play Dustin Henderson, they basically cast him right away from the first tape they saw, saying something like, "This kid, 100% in the show." Before she became famous as Penelope Featherington in Bridgerton and Claire in Derry Girls, Irish actress Nicola Coughlan actually tried out for a role in Stranger Things. She revealed that she auditioned for the part of Robin Buckley, the sharp-witted, ice-cream-scooping new friend of Steve Harrington who first appears in Season 3. But in the end, Maya Hawke won the part and brought Robin to life on screen, becoming one of the show's most beloved characters. Coughlan reflected on her audition with humility and good humor, saying that Hawke was far better than I ever would have been, and reminding aspiring actors that not getting a role doesn't mean you're not talented. It just means you're right for different things. Believe it or not, one of Stranger Things' most beloved characters, Max Mayfield, almost didn't happen at all. When Sadie Sink auditioned for the role of Max, casting directors were hesitant because she was considered too old, even though she was just 14 at the time. But Sadie didn't take no for an answer. She later revealed she begged and pleaded with the producers to give her more material so she could show them what she could do, convinced the part was meant for her. Eventually, the showrunners relented and brought her back in for a chemistry rid with Gaten Matarazzo and Caleb McLaughlin. And the very next day, she was officially cast as Max. If Sadie hadn't pushed Max Mayfield, the fierce skateboarder who became an integral part of the gang, might never have existed in the Stranger Things universe as we know it. Even Stranger Things wasn't immune to controversy, and not all of it was on screen. After the massive success of the show, multiple lawsuits were filed, claiming that the Duffer Brothers stole the idea for the series from other creators' work. In April 2018, filmmaker Charlie Kessler sued Matt and Ross Duffer, alleging that the Netflix hit was based on his short film Montauk, and a feature idea he called the Montauk Project. He claimed he pitched his concept, about a missing boy, secret experiments, and otherworldly monsters, to the Duffers at a festival party in 2014, and that they then used his ideas without permission. The lawsuit argued that Stranger Things was originally going to be titled The Montauk Project and set in Montauk, New York. The Duffers and their legal team strongly denied the claims, saying the complaint was completely meritless, and that they had no connection to the plaintiff's materials or concept. In fact, documents showed they had been developing a similar idea independently long before the alleged meeting. There was also a second lawsuit from a company claiming the show copied elements of a screenplay called Totem, alleging similarities in characters and story. That complaint, too, was contested by Netflix and the Duffers, who insisted the show was independently conceived and not based on that script. In the end, the original lawsuit was dropped before trial, when evidence showed the Duffers had developed key ideas for Stranger Things before any alleged pitch, and both cases failed to change the legacy of the series. And there you have it. 10 crazy Stranger Things facts that even superfans might not know. From characters who almost never existed to scenes that almost didn't happen, the behind-the-scenes stories are just as wild as the Upside Down itself. Which fact shocked you the most? Or do you know an even crazier Stranger Things secret we didn't cover? Drop it in the comments below. We'd love to hear your thoughts.